The air inside the Capitol was heavy with expectation, the kind of pressure that sits on shoulders like a physical weight. Tuesday afternoon had already begun with rumors swirling through Washington like wildfire. Hours before, news broke from behind closed doors that sent shockwave across political circles. Former Attorney General Bill Barr under oath had testified that he never once saw President Donald Trump's name tied to Jeffrey Epstein in any file, any document, any wisp of evidence. His words echoed across cable news cheer-ins, splashed across headlines, and ricocheted through social media timelines. For some, it was a moment of relief. For others, disbelief. But for everyone, it was impossible to ignore. This is Scandal Pulse. And before we dive deeper into the story that shook Washington to its core, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join our community. We uncover the moments, the truths, and the controversies that others try to bury. Don't miss a single update. Subscribe now and let's walk through this firestorm together. By the time the cameras rolled into the Capitol's crowded hallways, the building felt less like a place of legislation and more like a stage set for history. Families of victims stood shoulder to shoulder with reporters, their faces a mixture of grief and determination. Mothers clutched faded photographs of daughters they would never see again. Fathers held folders stuffed with letters written to leaders who never answered. A teenager pressed against his mother's arm, tears glistening in his eyes, still greeting his sister, whose story had become part of the Epstein nightmare. Reporters adjusted microphones. Sound technicians scrambled to capture every word, and camera operators jockeyed for position. Red lights blinked, pins clicked, the air hummed. Everyone knew something was about to happen. At the center of it all stood Representative Jasmine Crockett, known for her fiery rhetoric and combative presence. She stepped to the podium with a kind of energy that dared anyone to look away. Her voice rang sharp like glass under strain. She demanded every file, every page, every single name tied to Epstein's shadowed empire. Her hand slammed the podium as she barked her ultimatum. The Department of Justice must hand over the files tomorrow. No delays, no redactions, no excuses. Her words weren't a request. They were an order, a challenge hurled at the establishment and at Trump most of all. The crowd leaned forward, reporters scribbling furiously, cameras devouring every gesture. Some staffers whispered uneasily, urging calm, but Crockett's fire was unrelenting. Behind her, a mother in the back row clutched a framed photo so tightly her knuckles turned white. Tears spilled silently down her face as a Congresswoman's words pierced through the chamber. But it wasn't sympathy that filled the air. It was something else. Conflict, confrontation, the collision of grief with politics. Then, as if on cue, a hush swept through the room. A doorway opened and President Donald Trump entered. He did not stride with theatrics nor smile with bravado. He walked slowly, deliberately, his back straight, his expression calm but unreadable. For once the room felt stripped of campaign rallies and political noise. He moved past reporters and staffers, his gaze falling on the families first. He nodded respectfully, a subtle acknowledgement of their pain before approaching the podium. In his hand a thin folder. He set it down gently, placed a palm over it, and stood silently until the echoes of whispers faded. The silence was suffocating. Even the cameras seemed to hesitate. Finally, Trump spoke, his voice measured and calm. His first words weren't for Crockett or the press, but for the families. "We must first respect the victims," he said softly. "They deserve truth, not shouting." The words hung in the air, quiet, but heavy. Some in the crowd blinked back tears. Others leaned forward, waiting for more. Trump turned to the reporters, his gaze unwavering. Yesterday, Bill Barr testified under oath that he never saw anything that implicates me. He also said, if anything had existed, it would have leaked long ago. That's the reality. Murmurs rippled across the room. Some reporters scribbled faster, others glanced up nervously. Crockett folded her arms, glaring, but Trump pressed on. "We will get answers the right way," he declared. "I have directed the Department of Justice to release what the law allows quickly, with names revealed were lawful and with victims protected. Congress will see the files starting Friday. The public will see as much as possible without harming the innocent. He opened the folder, revealing not stacks of incriminating evidence, but a roadmap, a plan, pages with dates, memos, procedures. It wasn't flashy. It was methodical. No politics with pain, he added firmly. Not on my watch. Behind him, a father who had held his daughter's photo in silence began to cry. A staffer rushed a hand in tissues, and for a moment, the entire chamber softened. Crockett, however, wasn't moved. She leaned toward the MIC, fire still burning in her voice. Trump must be on that list. No one convinces me otherwise. He belongs in jail. He is a criminal, a pedophile, for God's sake. The words cracked like thunder. Gasps filled the room. Victims' families exchanged glances, some shaking their heads at the reckless accusations. Trump didn't flinch. He didn't storm, didn't shout. Instead, he leaned slightly forward, his tone sharp but calm. Congresswoman, enough. The words sliced through the chaos like glass breaking. Crockett froze, her defiance momentarily stilled. Cameras zoomed closer, reporters leaning in, eager to capture every syllable. Bill Barr, the very man who would love nothing more than to see me fall, testified under oath that there is nothing. If something existed, Biden's people would have leaked it long ago. Everyone knows that. The crowd murmured again, this time with agreement. Crockett's glare faltered, her posture stiffening. Trump didn't relent. He dropped his tone lower, steady, deliberate. Let's remember facts. Jasmine Crockett didn't speak about Epstein's victims until July 16, 2025 last month. Not once during the Biden years. Not once when victims cried for justice. Only when she thought it could be politically useful. Reporters glanced at their phones, scrolling, verifying in real time. Tweets confirmed it. Journalists exchanged quick nods. The truth was undeniable. Trump's voice softened again as he turned back to the families. I see you. I hear you. I ordered the files to be declassified. Every legal page, every name, no delays. The truth will come out. The guilty will face justice. The innocent will finally have their story heard. A sob broke from the back of the room, raw and uncontrollable. One mother whispered, "Thank you," her trembling voice carrying more weight than any headline. The chamber erupted in applause, not from politicians, but from the families themselves. Crockett's face flushed red. Her papers slammed against the podium. She muttered about cover-ups, but the room no longer belonged to her. Trump's voice rose unshaken. The real cover-up is from the people Epstein supported. Democrats in your party. Epstein donated to Chuck Schumer. He donated to Hillary Clinton. He even visited Bill Clinton in the White House 17 times. 17. These are facts, not theories. Gas again. Reporters scribbled furiously, their pens scratching across notepads like fire on dry wood. Crockett's eyes darted nervously, her confidence unraveling. Trump leaned in. Congresswoman, you call me evil, a criminal drunk on lies. But I stand here with proof, with truth, with action for the victims you ignored. This fight isn't about politics. It's about saving the soul of America from corruption. Families rose to their feet. Some clapped through tears. A teenage boy wiped his face with his sleeve, whispering, finally, someone saying it. The chamber felt transformed, heavy with the weight of a nation watching. Crockett tried again, her voice cracking. This is political theater, she shouted. But Trump turned calmly, his reply devastating. If standing with broken families is political theater, then I will take that stage every day. What I won't do is exploit their grief the way you just did. The room exploded in applause. Cameras flashed. Reporters whispered, "That's a clip?" Crockett slumped into her seat, humiliated. Her earlier fire now smoldered into ash. Trump, meanwhile, turned back to the families. His focus never wavered. The nation watched. Outside, crowds gathered with candles holding photos of daughters and sisters. Chants rose. Release the files. Release the files. For the first time in years, hope rippled through grief. Reporters admitted it openly. This wasn't politics anymore. This was history. And with one last vow, Trump sealed it. Tomorrow, the process begins. The Epstein files will be released piece by piece. No games, no excuses. If anyone in government tries to block it, I will make their names known to the people. The chamber thundered, the families wept, and history once again shifted before America's eyes.